And tonight, we're gonna go over the watch list for tomorrow morning, Wednesday, April 15th. So let's go ahead and let's dive right in. Before we go over the watch list tonight, let's talk about some action in this slow day. What I mean by slow is at the end of the day, there wasn't too many plays that were lining up with our ideal situation to see a point where we can snipe. Greatest part about this game is every day there is something new in the morning. Every single day. We usually post our top 6 gap ups every morning in the chat. If you checked it out today, we had some interesting ones. Lately, you can see the trend where all these stocks are putting COVID-19 in their news just to get themselves perked up off the ground and get going a little bit. Where I wanted to start today was talk about some movement that we saw in the morning. One stock I wanted to bring up specifically was the stock AIKI. Let me go ahead and dive in and show you guys what happened here. AIKI, why a long-term chart here, and as you can see, it's fairly a new stock, but let's go ahead and let's dive in. Let's see what created this candle today, and let's show the volatility that we see day in and day out. A lot of people think they have to go to Bitcoin or something like that for this kind of movement. However, check this out. All this happened in the morning. So let me dive in and show you. Beginning of the day in the morning, pre-market. They came out with news that they had an exclusive global license to a broad spectrum drugs, which includes coronavirus. Nothing too specific. They threw the coronavirus in there. They threw that key word. Unfortunately, that's the word that's getting some of these stocks going right now. So they threw in that word, and now let's dive into AIKI. Check this out. It has an unbelievable spike in the morning. The reason it spiked like this is because it's a low float play. And you'll learn more about that when you're in the chat with the group. It gets a spike from 67 and spikes all the way up to the 230s, and that's all pre-market. After it opened up, it spiked even more. It got all the way up to 274. After it got its big morning spike in the first 2 minutes, it dipped, and then check this out. Look at the range on this day. It ended up going all the way from 274 to close out at 87. Big congrats to all the shorts here. They were able to take huge advantage, making over 50-60% on this play. Keep in mind, that's a game for a little bit more of an experienced trader, because look at the shorts who decided to get in early. A lot of them got wrecked. Ultimately, in the end, AIKI shows off its true colors, shows that it's junk, and it gets an offering at $1 a share. That's why with these listed stocks, when we do trade them, we're usually in and out. This just shows the wild movement throughout the day. So that's one stock. And then another stock that I wanted to bring up, NURO. It does get that follow-up spike from yesterday's high day of 230, and it spikes from 230 all the way to 620. So almost 100% in the morning, but this spike is extremely overextended, especially on a third green day. Interesting enough, if you go to the long-term chart, it topped out right where that long-term resistance is. So the third green day coming up to a long-term resistance, we really wanted to see this thing hold around here so we can get some shares. However, the dip happened really quick, and once it did, it started going down. This thing ended up closing at 3, and now it's in the 2s after hours. So all the way from that 620 third green day high down to $3, over 50%, another big sniper short. Cool thing about the chat, guys, is we were scoping it out. It is exciting to talk about. It's up holding over 150%. The chat noticed that Neuro was coming up to that key multi-month resistance spot. However, since it was the third green day, Sniper Mike pointed out that, Neuro is starting to look like a short on our radar since this big spike is happening on that third green day. And that was right when it was in the 6s. There's a lot of people who went long there and got trapped. That's why it's key to be in with a group and just be able to talk about these stocks, because the potential is unbelievable. We just saw 2 stocks that went up over 150% within the day. I do want to give a quick shout out before we dive into the watch list. I want to give a shout out to one of our newer snipers, our boy Matty J, Sniper Matty J. He ended up making a very nice trade yesterday on a dip buy, and he did it again. He did on MEIP, which was one of the gainers on our top gainer list this morning. He was able to buy it on a dip at 263, and then he sold it when it bounced at 297 for over 10% on a quick win. So good stuff, Matty. Keep grinding, man. One of our newer snipers be able to nail a dip buy 2 days in a row. So big shout out, man. Keep it going, one trade at a time, but keep it going, brother. So now let's go ahead and let's dive into the watch list for tonight, which is the stocks that we're looking for movement tomorrow morning, which is Wednesday, April 15th. Let's do it. We have 3 stocks we're gonna talk about. 2 of them are listed, and then the last one's in OTC, our favorite place to play. But we're gonna start with the listed stocks. The first one, OBLN. Check out this 1-year chart. Crazy movement. Crazy movement. However, you do not see a lot of these spikes holding their game. With OBLN, it had an amazing spike today. It ended up spiking 150% in 30 minutes. So freaking wild. We now actually have OBLN on the short radar, and we're gonna look to capitalize if this continues tomorrow on a potential big short, because we think this could have big downside if this continues tomorrow. Saw that volume spike at 245, and it spiked 150% straight pretty much. It got halted from a circuit breaker because of volatility twice, actually 3 times on this run up. Throughout those halts, it ended up gapping up each time, which is pretty wild. Topped out at 175, and it took a huge dip all the way down to 109. Saw how much downside these things can have. So what we want to see is this thing give it one more go tomorrow. Ideally, it pushes past that 175 in the morning. Ideally, it's even gapping up over that. And then it gets a push into the 2s. And there's some key spots in the 2s that we're looking at. 210 area and the 235 area are 2 key spots. This is an extremely low float play, being at 6 million float. So we are in no rush. However, look at all the red days that follow after the green day. Bound to come down sooner or later. We want to catch the downside. However, to make it juicy enough, we do need one more push. So let's keep it going, OBLN. Let's see what you got in the tank tomorrow. Very nice legs today, and congrats. Our boy Sauce Boy actually took advantage of this. So congrats, Sauce Boy. Good stuff on the upside. Next one we're gonna talk about on our list is RWLK. RWLK. It's a gap down play, and we really want to see it hold that gap down resistance into the close, so that way it can get a fresh squeeze over that gap down resistance tomorrow morning. However, when this made a new high in power hour, it made that squeeze we were looking for. Still holding that key 97 spot into the close. We want to see if this thing could create some morning support tomorrow and get another leg up. 141 area would fill the gap. This was the high of the daybreak at the end of the day of 91, and it spiked all the way from 91 to 115. Which is awesome to see, this volatility that we see day in and day out. And the reason this one had this big spike is because it's another low flow play as well. That's why when we are looking at the listed plays, it's usually the lower flow play. We want to ideally see it create some support tomorrow morning above that 97 resistance area in the low ones, and then get that volume to get that second pop and a potential second quick flip. If you don't have a spot where you can risk it off of, don't just chase this one. We're gonna keep a watch on RWLK tomorrow to see if it can go ahead and fill that gap of the 140 to 143 area. Last but not least, guys, we always like to have a wild card play of the bunch, and our wild card play of the night is Deacon. A lot of the snipers are familiar with it. It has paid off to watch this one in the past week. We've made some nice profits off dip buys. Since it's trading mid-range now, we're not really too interested in trading this unless it has that big panic that we're able to take advantage of last week. So if this thing does panic tomorrow, if it does get the seller, we like a big, quick panic, because that's the way that you can make good money on these panic dip buys. We like the support spot at 16.5, and we also like the spot down here at the 14 area. So if we get a big enough dip there, we will be eyeing it down and licking our chops. However, that is a far way down, so that's why this is our wild card pick of the night. Still trading mid-range, but this one has only shown us respect. All right, snipers, much love, guys. Again, a little bit lighter of a list, so we can fully digest this list and take it all in, and then get ready for those gap ups tomorrow morning. Be ready tomorrow morning in the chat. By 9 o'clock, we'll have those new 6 big percent gainers. They're all gonna be up over 20% every day. That's the top 6 that we post. So be on the lookout for those with this small group that we got together, and we'll see what can happen for tomorrow, Webinar Wednesday. Much love, my sniper team. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will talk to you guys tomorrow in the chat. See you, snipers.